Hey guys and gals, it's your buddy Drew with Living History's Mysteries and Ferocious Feline Productions. You know, I've always had a fascination with medicine. Little known fact, when I was very, very small, I wanted to become a doctor. And then as I realized what medical school cost, I decided I wasn't going to put my parents through that hell. But I still find myself very fascinated with medicine. And one of the cool things about doing history is the fact that I get to look back at the history of medicine and our medical advances. In this video, we're going to take a look back into the 80s, not very distant history, but we're going to look at some of the mistakes that were made in the advancement of medicine. But I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. I'm going to let you guys check it out and base your own opinions. So don't forget to leave a comment behind underneath the description of the video so I get to hear your comments and your opinions on stuff. Check this out. This is good.
Radiation therapy machines are relied on in the battle against certain cancers. Many place their trust and hopes of survival on the effectiveness of such equipment. However, when harnessing ionizing radiation, extreme caution needs to be exercised. This goes for the safe storage and disposal of units, but also, and more regularly, in the actual dose used to treat the patients. Today we're looking at the FERAC-25 radiotherapy unit and its victims. However, unlike other radiotherapy units on this channel, the death toll was equated to a fault with the unit's software, giving dangerous doses of radiation. In the 21st century, we rely on computer control systems for almost everything, as the accuracy of the digital realm on the whole outperforms that of a human. However, in the mid to late 1980s, the reliance of a computer system for safety critical operations led to a deadly result. Unlike other radiotherapy units that use an active radioactive source such as cobalt, the FERAC-25 was a medical linear accelerator. This type of machine accelerates electrons via a gun to create a high energy beam.
Oh, nice shooting, Tex.
The beam is used for treating a small localized area, usually in the form of a tumour. The advantage is that the surrounding tissue is unaffected. Some cancers can respond well to small doses of radiation, in turn killing off the deadly cells, halting the spread of the disease. With the FERAC machine, shallow treatments are dealt with accelerated electrons, whereas deeper targets are reached by converting the beam to X-ray photobeams. The FERAC-25 was a genesis born from a collaboration with AECL, the Atomic Energy of Canada Limited company, and a French company called CGR. During the 1970s, several units were deployed and put into production, the first of which was the 6 million electron volt FERAC-6, followed by the 20 MeV dual-mode FERAC-20. Both these units used microcomputers, but were developed versions of CGR designs. The computers used in these units only added the ease of use, and mechanical interlocks were still employed. Essentially, these units were standalone, and the machines they were derived from didn't make use of computers. During the 1970s, AECL developed a double-pass system. The innovation of the FERAC-25 was that the designers found a way to fold the beam back and forth, so a very long accelerator could be fit into a smaller space. The 25 MeV Phorak 25 made use of the new system. The unit could deliver 25 MeV of photons or electrons at various levels. It also had a field light mode, which allowed the patient to be correctly positioned by illuminating the treatment area with visible light. The unit made use of the same PDP-11 computer as the 6 and 20. However, the computer was not just an add-on, but instead had the whole unit controls designed around the computer system. With the extra reliance on the computer, mechanical interlockings were replaced with software. This meant that the safety was ensured within the computer. The software for the new unit was written using the code from the Phorak 6 as a base and had evolved to the 25 via the Phorak 20. The software was programmed only by one person. In depositions from later lawsuits, the company admitted to conducting small amounts of software testing in a simulator. During development, only around 2,700 hours of operation was racked up. The software was responsible for machine status monitoring, inputting desired treatment, and setting up the unit for treatment. The software also activated the beam depending on operator input, and once treatment was complete, would also switch off the beam. This relied on system checks being carried out by the computer. The computer didn't make use of a standard operating system, and instead used a proprietary real-time OS. The software had 4 major components: stored data, a scheduler, a set of critical and non-critical tasks, and interrupt services. The software-controlled interlocks were designed to remove power from the unit in the case of a failure. The system used a fault tree in the event of a hardware failure, however it did not consider computer software errors. The culture of the design of the unit thought that all errors in the system would only be linked to hardware failures. There were 2 ways that the unit software could shut down operation: treatment suspend or treatment pause. A treatment suspension hinted at a serious error and required a complete system restart. A treatment pause, which the system deemed as not serious, only required a single key command to restart the machine, and all treatment parameters remained intact. The danger of this was that an operator could quickly override the system fault by just using the P key. In total, the system would allow 5 pauses before a total restart was needed. During development, AECL didn't have the software code independently reviewed. Issues within the software had not been highlighted on the Phorak 6 and 20 units due to their hardware interlocks, thus providing final safety. But the Phorak 25 had got rid of these, and this would mean that bugs in the software could ignore key safety critical systems. In 1975, the prototype of the Phorak 25 was constructed and commercial availability began in 1982. In total, 11 units were installed, with 5 in the USA and 6 in Canada. There were 6 incidents of incorrect high current electron beams generated in X-ray mode being delivered to patients. These happened over a 2-year period between 1985 and 1987. The first instance took place in June 1985. A 61-year-old female patient was receiving follow-up treatment after removal of a tumour from one of her breasts. She was to receive treatment in the neighbouring lymph nodes. This particular machine had been operating for 6 months at Kennestone Regional Oncology Center in Marietta, Georgia. The machine was set up for what was thought to be a 10 MeV electron dose. Upon commencement of treatment, the patient experienced a burning sensation on the treatment area. After treatment, the patient reported redness and swelling in the area. Her shoulder froze and began to experience spasms. After being admitted to hospital, her doctors continued to send her for Phorak 25 radiation treatments. AECL denied that the machine burned the patient, and it was thought that her bodily reaction was normal in connection with a correct dose. Eventually, the patient's breast had to be removed, and she completely lost the use of her shoulder and arm. In October, the patient filed suit against the hospital and the manufacturer of the machine. The second incident was in July 1985 at the Ontario Cancer Foundation Clinic in Canada. The 40-year-old patient was on her 24th treatment from the Phorak 25. During the session, the unit initiated a treatment pause due to the computer indicating that no dose had been administered. The operator pushed the P button to override the error. The machine shut down a few more times, each incident being overridden by the operator. However, the patient complained of tingling in the treatment area, and overexposure was suspected, with the patient being hospitalized. They died 3 months later in relation to their cancer. The third incident happened at Yakima Valley Hospital in 1985. The patient, a woman, had developed red parallel strips on the treatment area on her hip. Her condition was thought to be normal and was sent back for more FRAC 25 sessions. Radiation overexposure was not considered until over a year later. Eventually, the patient received surgery and experienced minor disability and scarring. The East Texas Cancer Center in March 1986 would experience the fourth in this series of incidents. The patient, a male, was to receive therapy on his upper back during his 9th treatment with the machine. The machine had been in operation at the hospital for 2 years, treating around 500 patients during that period. During setting up the session, the operator had typed in incorrect treatment information by indicating X-ray instead of electron mode. The operator edited this easy-to-make mistake by using the cursor up key. She had correctly filled in all other parameters, so once the X was changed to an E, after pressing enter, the terminal display indicated all parameters were verified. Next, the system prompted the operator to begin beam by pressing the B key. The machine shut down with a treatment pause and a malfunction 54 error was displayed on the screen. This error message indicated that either a dose too high or a dose too low had been delivered. The display terminal was showing a substantial underdose. The operator, who was experienced with the machine, thought it was just a usual quirk and pressed the P button to proceed. Again, a malfunction 54 message was displayed. However, due to a malfunction in the software, 2 doses of the maximum of 25 MeV was administered. Meanwhile, inside the treatment room, the patient felt a burning sensation on his back upon the first attempt of delivery of a dose. He had attempted to get up from the treatment table before the second dose, which had hit him in his arm. After the second attempt, he made his way to the door of the treatment room, banging on it to get the attention of the operator. As an unfortunate turn in luck, the audio and video link between the 2 rooms was out of order that day, meaning that the operator had no way of seeing or hearing the patient. The patient eventually lost the use of his left arm and both legs, was unable to speak, and had several other complications. He died 5 months later, linked to his incident in the FRAC 25. A month later, in April, at the same centre, another incident with the same operator would take place. Much like the previous incident, the operator had incorrectly typed X instead of E and had gone to correct her mistake using the cursor up key. What was different this time was that the intercom was working and the operator heard a noise from the machine and a groan from the patient. The intended dose was 10 MeV to the face. However, like before, this was far exceeded. The patient was rushed to hospital where he fell into a coma and passed away 3 weeks later from severe neurological damage. The final incident occurred at Yakima Valley Hospital in January 1987. An operator placed a patient for small position verification doses. The total dose was to be 86 rads, which consisted of 2 verification doses and then a prescribed dose. After attempting to administer the dose, the machine shut down with a malfunction message and a treatment pause. The operator pushed the P button and the machine paused again. Like in every other case, the patient had felt a burning sensation in the treatment area, which should not have been the case due to the dose being very low. This patient died 3 months later, and it was thought that he had received up to 10,000 rads. After each of the incidents, AECL denied that the units could have been the cause of the overexposure, as the company had misplaced high levels of confidence in the software and hardware combination. As long as they had blind confidence in the unit, faults could not be identified and rectified as they presented themselves. It wasn't until the 5th instance of overdose that the company started to look into the system, although this might have been because the FDA was also launching a probe into the unit's safety systems. The key issue with the FRAC 25 was in its software. A strange quirk was once an operator entered information at the terminal outside the treatment room, the magnets used to filter and control radiation levels were set. Due to the number of magnets, this process took about 8 seconds. If an edit straight away in say under 1 second, the software would adjust accordingly. Similarly, if an edit was made after the magnets had been positioned, the edit would be registered. However, if an edit was made during the magnet alignment time, it would not be registered by the system. Once the magnets are set, no test is performed by the software to double check that the treatment information entered matches how the magnets are set. This issue is a direct result of the dual mode element of the machine. Much higher levels of radiation are needed in photon mode to produce the same levels of output in electron mode, meaning if the beam is set for photon mode but the turntable is set up for electron mode, a radiation overdose occurs, and the operators were none the wiser. The same software glitch was in the programming of the FRAC 20, however the hardware interlocks prevented the overdose, and as described at the beginning of the video, these interlocks were not built into the 25. The other software glitch allowed the electron beam to activate during field light mode, during which no beam scanner was active or target was in place. The stringent and extensive testing was not undertaken by AECL as only one programmer was used, limiting the amount of program testing that could be done during development, and also as a result of stretched resources, code was copied from previous machines. It was assumed by the company that, as previous units had been safe, that adding to an already established computer system wouldn't need testing and proving. The poorly engineered software had led the operators and technicians to become complacent with the error messages displayed to them. This was because the units would regularly spew out confusing errors, eventually conditioning operators to not investigate spurious failures. Arguably, the operators should have demanded equipment that could operate fault-free. However, AECL had sold them the lie that the system would not let an instant of overdose, even though this was proven to be false. AECL eventually set out a corrective action plan, which included a hardware safety interlock and 20 other hardware and software changes. The FRAC 25, after these changes, went back into service.
Welcome back. You know, it's like I was saying at the beginning, one of the really cool things about doing history is I get to study the history of the country, the history of the world, the history of colonization, the history of music, the history of movies, the history of medicine. And I was completely fascinated with how a simple glitch, how a software error was a deciding factor that was never considered with this type of medical device. Granted, the error was corrected and we're making leaps and bounds in cancer treatment today. My own friend over in England that has been dealing with tumors in his digestive tract, in his intestines. 3 years ago when he was here, we thought it may be the last time we see each other. Now he is back to doing his job with the Royal Mail and looking forward to his visit in 2025. We pray for him every day. But we know that with the advancements made in modern medicine and chemotherapy and radiotherapy in cancer treatment, he's doing 125 times better than he was 2 years ago when we saw him. Mistakes are made. Sometimes things don't go well when there are advancements in medicine and these people are the first ones to try it. It's really sad that some people lose their lives. Some people have debilitating effects. But it all culminates into more successes than failures. But that's all we got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this look back at the killer software glitch in the radiotherapy equipment back in the 80s. Until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. God bless you, God love you, we do. And we'll see you out there.